Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel. I'm Nomfundo.
Hi guys, my name is Tema Matonsela.
I think you almost got stuck there. But
Yep.
Nonetheless, we are members of a blended family, and together we are sharing our journey in the hopes of empowering other couples who may be facing issues that we may have faced and will probably face in future as well, and hoping to learn from those couples as well.
100%. So we go through a number of topics and conversations, and we try to sort of bring about thoughts and ideas that and challenges that you could possibly face if you are in a blended family as well.
Yes.
Yep.
So, without further ado, let us just announce
Where do we start?
our winner.
We have a winner
Yes, for the book.
for
The previous
video.
The previous
Yep.
video, we have a winner, and that
The name
winner
is
Sinovuyo Maqungo.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
A book is coming your way.
We'll be in contact. What we'll do, Sinovuyo, is that you will then have the option to choose a book from Take a Lot, which will then be delivered to you. But we'll be in contact to just discuss more on or arrange for the delivery of that book. So, what are we talking about tonight?
Tonight we have a very interesting topic. I think it's super interesting. It's super sensitive. I think that's the right word, because if not handled well, it's got the ability to cause resentment, to cause hatred, and eventually become a stumbling block for a blended family. We're talking about discipline. How do we, as the parents who come together in a blended family with kids from our previous marriages, discipline our kids?
Oh, yes.
It's a serious one.
Indeed.
It's a serious
It
one.
can be very serious because, like you're saying, it can cause a lot of resentment.
Yep.
Not just amongst the partners, but amongst the children and the partners and among the children themselves, where maybe one feels like, hey, I'm always in trouble. Like, why is your dad on my case, for example?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
So let's look at how does this play out in a blended family. Let's give examples of discipline in a blended family. What possible difficulties can we come across?
I think for me, one of the difficulties that we could see is a difficulty whereby the one parent that feels as if, you know what, this is my stepson or my stepchild. I won't get involved. I'm not gonna discipline.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything when he or she does wrong. Therefore, I'm just gonna
Out of
live
it.
my life. Yeah,
Like, tag, you're it.
100%. You're on your own.
You're on your own.
And that is a big problem, because what it does is that it gives a sort of, I mean, children are very smart. Let's be honest. Children
Yeah.
are very smart, and they can see and they can manipulate parents. So when only the biological parents fight the discipline or the punishment agenda or punishment
What takes
war
on punishment, yeah?
with the child, what then happens is that the child can see that I have an absent stepfather.
The stepfather's not involved in my life.
He's not involved. I can do as I like. I know he's not going to say anything because he's just a quiet guy.
And maybe, I'm just throwing it out there,
Yeah.
perhaps the child would even use misbehavior as a way to try and communicate with the parent, to say, why are you not reprimanding me? Like, I could literally jump off this building and you wouldn't
You're not
care.
going to say anything.
So it feels like almost like the parent would be damned if they do, but also damned if they don't. If I keep quiet and just let this child be, then I'm also found to be in the wrong.
Correct.
Okay, another one is where I'm going to say step parent and parent, because it can apply in both instances.
Okay.
Where the parent or the step parent does not discipline from a position of love.
We are Vuchuza.
Yeah. So there would be an instance where the punishment does not
tie in with the relationship that is built.
Does not tie in with the relationship that is built, one. and also the punishment doesn't justify. So the crime, basically what the child has done is they broke a glass, then the step parent gets a wire, the plug for a kettle, and comes and beats the child.
Okay.
So it's just a broken glass. But when you went to the extreme in disciplining this child, it doesn't balance out. So there, for me, I think it shows that you're not punishing me from a position of love, because you're not. What is the end purpose of what the punishment is there for, or the discipline is there for? If it's from a position of anger, I don't think it's good.
And it's super sensitive for blended families, right? Because discipline, especially because, I mean, if one punishes and sort of a bruise. We're talking about punishment, not about discipline, and there's a difference between the two, right? If one punishes and there's a bruise on the stepson, it could become become a huge topic.
You now
a huge problem.
Being accused of being abusive, and but let's also say some ways of punishment are equal abuse.
Okay.
Some ways of punishment equal abuse. Okay. So then the next one is punishing without communicating.
Communicating to your partner.
To your partner.
And especially in the beginning, that could cause a problem. It's a big loophole. If for example, you all of a sudden leave your child and you come back ushayiwe.
Yeah.
Because you are because and then nakusasa the same thing, beating happens. All of a sudden, there's no communication.
You're not being told why is the child being smacked, or why is the child, why is their phone confiscated? No, the child just did something bad, and it's not discussed. But also, I would also like to say, punishment or discipline without communicating even to the child himself can be a bit of a problem, where the child just walks in and immediately, I don't even know what have I done wrong, and then even if I go to my parents, my biological parent in the relationship, like, what did I do now, or and why am I in trouble? And nothing is said,
and it talks against the ability, the aim of creating a healthy home environment for kids as well as the parents. So communication can be a loophole in the relationship.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. And then one other point is failure of parents to agree on method of discipline and punishment.
No, there's no conversation that happens prior or in the beginning to say this is how we're gonna go forward.
And maybe not even just prior, but also in the course of the relationship between mother and father and children, because situations change and we need to adapt sometimes to what is currently on our table. So the method we might have chosen at the beginning might not work. We need to now communicate.
Now we need to communicate and change
and see how we move forward.
So that can create resentment.
Yes, it can create resentment, but it can also create a bit of confusion to say, wait, we agreed, but this is how we are going to deal with this. But now that this is happening, you've decided to take another path, and you've not communicated with me to say, I've chosen to do this because this is a boy child and this and this and this, and give your reasons. But now I'm still stuck on the initial agreement that we had, and I'm like, why are you changing our game plan? So that's, for me, the failure to communicate. Difficult one.
And these are very sensitive because, parents have especially, and think about this, right? When the parents are going through a divorce, their previous marriage, they tend to build a closer bond with their kids.
Very
in most cases. Now you've got two parents that are overprotective of kids coming together, so that overprotectiveness still comes through to the next relationship.
Yes.
And now you find that there's just beating and going on. Most likely we're gonna start not trusting one another.
Also, just to add on to that, where we were going through our previous lives and I formed a bond with my child. Let's say I have a girl child and we almost became like buddies, me and the girl child. Now we come into this relationship, and when as the other party, you see, no man, but this is a bit dangerous. We need to start disciplining, or we need to meet punishment at a certain point. Imagine what that does to us, and imagine how that kind of breaks the relationship between the mother and the child. Also, where maybe the child is like, now, how wangijikela ngoba sekufika ubaba, or I thought we were buddies, but yeah, dude, we've got to have a system. There's certain things that were not going right. We've got to fix this, not just for the sake of the blended family, but also for the sake of the child who's going to go out into society and become a member of society. Certain things cannot be mixed.
So what about a situation? I'm going to boggle your mind now. What about a situation whereby I spoil my child? What could be the implication of that?
Oh, imagine that child now being spoiled, coming into a house.
And I'm overprotective of my child. How can that become a hindrance to the blended family?
Just imagine if it will always feel as if it's the child before everything else.
And then what so I have a child, my child, biological child, and I'm spoiling him or her. How will your relationship with that child become?
Because I'm going to look
to
like
be dented.
I look like the monster. I'm going to be the monster. And think
cruelty
about this,
of you.
how about the relationship between the children? Why are you doing Course for Life now? But anyway, the relationship between the children, where the children are like, now, this one, and then there's resentment also now amongst the children,
amongst them, because they feel
guy,
they would say you are the blue-eyed boy.
You never get in trouble. You never clean.
So clearly, this is it's a very super sensitive issue.
It is a super sensitive issue.
And if not dealt with in the correct manner, can actually be a big challenge in the family,
and can lead to a lot of hurt and hate within families. And you know what? There's this saying that hurt people hurt other people. So you're just creating little people who are hurt, who are going to go forward and hurt other people. And
there's a continuation of that hurting, and everyone is hurting and hurting.
We're bleeding on each other.
Okay, so how many points are we doing? We want to look at thoughts or points that we could possibly, put in place to mitigate around this particular challenges that we just spoke about now.
Yes, there's
okay.
four points.
4 points. We're doing 4 points. All right.
Point number one.
Number one.
Children are children, and children will do childish things.
Bantuana. I used to be naughty. You can see I was naughty. Yeah. So let's talk around this. So now you now have an expectation that this stepson of yours will be perfect when you were not perfect yourself growing up. Njani?
Yeah, so you can't. You don't have expectations that this child there's going to be miracles. This child is going to be prim and proper and call you sir, madam. It's a child. Even though the child can be mature, somewhere they will mess up, and you must understand that this is a child, and they have to go through this phase in their lives, and we are there as parents to support and to guide them into making better choices so that they become better human beings in the future.
In fact, I want to put it to you like this. I want to say, now you as becoming the stepfather or stepmother, you now have a duty to train up this child.
Yeah.
When I commit to you in marriage and you have a child, I'm also saying, because you have a child, I have a duty that I want this child to grow up in a good way. And part of that is that there has to be patience and understanding that this child is a child, and a child will do what children do.
Let's also just say, while we're here, that's if we're talking about a person who has clear and good intentions. Because there are people who go into marriages without good intentions. I'm getting into this because I am afraid of being alone. So when I'm afraid of being alone, I have not considered that, listen, there's hearts, there's emotions of other people that are involved in this situation between me and you. Some people get married because they don't want to cook for themselves.
True.
We have to, there must be somebody who's there to do things for me. So if I come into a relationship with that intention, who are your children to me? Who are your kids to me?
They don't matter.
They don't matter. They're just, they're just,
Bayanyanyisa mabahlupha futhi.
I wish, mhlambe, even in your heart, you would even wish that, why don't these children go live with their grandmother so that they can be out of my hair? So that's how you will be disciplining or punishing them, with this back thought to say, you're not really wanted here. And I think the children can also feel and see that I'm not really wanted here because this person is not dealing with me as a child.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know,
Tough one.
Point number 2. There is a difference between discipline and punishment.
So we have the term discipline, we have punishment. You are saying to me, discipline is not the same as punishment.
That's what I'm saying.
So what is discipline? Let's start there.
Discipline is the process that we use or follow to train you up as our child, to ensure that you make better choices. You are able to choose wisely.
So discipline is training.
Training up.
It's teaching.
Teaching. Yes.
So it's a proactive approach.
Yes.
So if I don't discipline now, if I don't train my child now, chances are the decision is going to make tomorrow a decision that I don't like.
Yes.
So it's actually my fault.
And once they take decisions that I don't like, then I have to punish. And it might not be me who's punishing in future. Society will punish in future. You go into a job, there's consequences for not following due process. You go into society, there's consequences for breaking the law. You get into trouble. So if we are not disciplining, we will have to punish. And when we punish, it might even extend beyond me and you.
Yo, that's a tough one. Now let's talk about punishment. What is punishment?
Punishment is when there's been the breaking of a rule.
Okay.
And now we are punishing you.
Okay. So we have repeatedly tried to teach you, put discipline in your head, and you are not listening, and therefore we decide you go against a certain rule, therefore we punish you.
And
okay.
how does that play out? I'm taking your phone for 2 weeks.
So you're saying to me, there's forms of punishment. Because in Asazindugu, we are shy.
In this day and age, you will be arrested. You get arrested because what is our government saying? They're saying that we cannot be.
Yeah, but look, you can. Okay, that's a difficult one.
Cannot, but
biblically, a rod you can.
Spare the rod.
Let's speak it. Yeah, let's
spare
the
rod. But that's what
you spare the rod.
You spoil the child.
You spoil the child, right? So there's different forms of punishment. I'm not closing that one. There's different forms of punishment. You can either punish by go to the corner and see if it works. You can punish by go on and under the tree, whatever it is.
You
can take your phone, whatever
with your friends, you're grounded.
But the point that we're trying to make is, you as parents in a blended family need to understand that there's a difference between discipline and punishment. And in fact, discipline take place prior, punishment is an afterward.
Yes.
In fact, let me put it like this. If your discipline is good, you might not need to punish. Think about it.
Yeah, but there's kids will always.
No. You will here and there. We call it love. Bit of spanking here and there, but it doesn't have to be major because you've got such a proactive, disciplining, curriculum that you put in place to talk to your kids, to train them, and to ensure that they grow up well.
Okay, so let's just talk under discipline a little bit.
Yeah.
So how would this look in our household? Let's say we are saying we are being proactive and now we want to discipline. How would it look? So for example, we have one-on-ones with the children.
I love that.
And we are communicating, and we're
I
getting
love
into their world, and we're allowing them to also come into our world to explain various concepts.
I love that. I love that. So that we give the kids an opportunity to understand our level of thinking when it comes to matters.
Key concepts they must be able to understand, and then also it could also mean creative distraction.
Okay, talk to me.
Where the child is not allowed or given just free rein, we put things in place so that we are creatively directing their lives. We say, let's take part in chess. Maybe I'm making an example, it's a silly example, or maybe let do what is this, karate or tai chi, especially if you know your child is hyperactive. Karate, they are learning certain disciplines there, which can still be also applied in their normal.
So you need to. You basically need to be creative in finding ways to discipline.
Creative and also consider the different needs of the children. Children are not the same.
I like the other one. I think we were attending some seminar on I can't remember, on kids. And there was a speaker who spoke about creating a reward system as a form of that's a form of discipline. That's a form of training.
Yeah.
So what you do is that you don't always look for the negative in the child. Yes. You don't always look for the bad. Hey, when's in, you know? But you look for the good habits and you sort of try and reward them. And that normally works. That's a way of training as well.
And also being people that will follow through on the things that you
it's
say.
Important.
If you're going to be lip service people, forget that anything will work.
Okay, on this point, I think important is if you discipline well, or rather, discipline is not the same as punishment. If you discipline well, you might not need to punish. Okay, 100%. Powerful point.
Point number 3, I'm just checking time now.
Okay.
Agree on how to deal with discipline and punishment in our household. We must agree.
And allow me to say this. In blended families, this is the most important of it all. You know what I'm referring to.
Agreement.
Agreeing.
Communication.
We need to talk about everything before we kick off. In fact, even nuclear families have to talk about everything before they kick off. Because I grew up and a different form of punishing system was being used. And you grew up being told in a different way that you are being punished. Now we come together. I want to implement the way that I know. You want to implement the way that you know. It becomes a conflict.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Let's iron it out.
Yes.
Let's say in the beginning, let's make a meeting and go somewhere and buy drinks and sit around the table and have tea and talk and say, how are we going to discipline the kids?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think also what would be important is to also say this would also apply to the other parents as well.
Okay.
Because if we don't we don't take them into our confidence, am I saying it correctly? If they are not in agreement with what or how it is that we are choosing to live and
can cause conflict.
It can be a bit of a problem as well. Now, I'm not saying that they must come in and dictate as to what happens in this household, but as adults, we can communicate to say, listen, we don't agree with this sort of behavior, and these are the measures that we are putting in place to ensure that we don't find the A, B, and C happening. Listen, we've confiscated the phone. He's not allowed to have the phone. So don't bring him back with another iPhone that you bought for him. Listen, we don't give pocket money because of this and this behavior, but we need to do it in that manner.
And that's such an important point, because in most cases, when the kids stay with the one parent and they go visit it's holidays, they go visit the other parent will want to do more and not discipline and allow the child to get away with murder.
Yes.
And because you know the parent also wants to show that, you know what, I'm here and I love you, and in that way you're creating a ticking bomb.
Last point.
Point number 4.
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Trust and the law of process. trust and the law of process. I think we debated quite a bit about this, or discussed quite a bit to say, first of all, my child is my treasure.
Okay.
My child is my
Your
treasure. My
child.
biological child is my treasure.
Okay.
And me basically handing over this child to you is not something that's just, I'm not going to come and say, there you go, tag, you're it. I need to, it's a gentle kind of a handover to see, can you be trusted with this little soul? And we even made an example to say, when you started disciplining my children, I first checked to see, let me watch how he disciplines, and also how he then relates to the child after the discipline. Because if you're disciplining and then you then shun the child away, he can't come to you, he can't talk to you, you're angry for a few days, then I know that this discipline is not the type of discipline that the child needs. Also watching the relationship between the child and the stepfather to say, okay, let's see, how do they relate? Are you teaching the child, this is how I would like for us to live in this household, this is what I expect of you? Or is it just like bam, bam, bam the whole time, where this child is being brought down? So what I'm saying from my view, that is to say, we need to build that trust, and we need to trust in the law of process to say it's not going to be smooth sailing overnight, trial and error.
For me, using your example as the stepdad, I need to understand that it's also a process. So you need to understand that it's a process, but I also need to understand that it's a process. Yeah. That I can't just come and want to punish, and while I have not initiated to build a solid relationship with the child. Because punishment without the relationship can really be seen as cold, or seen as hatred, as a form of hatred. Yeah. But if I build a child and I show the child that I care, when I punish now, and it can never be doubted that I'm punishing from a space of love rather than a space of hatred.
Can we also agree that it's so easy to overthink certain things?
I just wanted to make that point. You just, it's as if you stole it from my head right now. In blended families, there are certain things that are super sensitive in the beginning, but as we go along, if we deal with them nicely, if we manage them, if we manage those conflicts nicely, well, with communication, what then happens is that they slowly die down, and it becomes sort of a normal place, a normal environment situation. Yeah. But in the beginning, they are highly sensitive.
Yeah, so it's easy to blow things completely out of proportion, and then in hindsight, I shouldn't have overreacted. I mean, it was just a small thing.
Yabona ufunza ukuthi yomntana akho, now I'm going to catch feelings because you said yomntana akho. But I mean, even how many times even in a nuclear family you say, hey, thatha abantu abakho bahambe. So you need to have a high level of overlooking. Yes, emotional intelligence, true. But you need to have a high level of overlooking small situations that you can make a big issue out of. But they are just a small tissue.
Yeah, sure.
I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So guys, that's the end of our discussion for tonight. Interesting, sensitive, but
very sensitive.
Please share your thoughts on our subject matter. Look, again, we are not experts. We are simply sharing on a experience basis.
100%.
And what we've gone through might be different to what you have gone through.
100%. So one last point before the Bible says, train up a child. Train up a child so that when he is older, even if it goes out, he will remember what he was taught.
Yeah.
So proactively training. Proactively disciplining is what is needed. But I also want to say that it's super important that parents in a blended families must be always looking to grow emotionally. I mean, develop your emotional intelligence. Train it. Read books about emotional intelligence, because that's where it will come out at home. And when it gets out of control, it creates an opportunity for the family, or for the family to start losing traction. It's an environment that no child wants to live in.
Toxic, basically.
Yeah.
True. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will then check you in our next video. Bye-bye.
Oh, sorry.